All right, everyone, we should be live. I know a little bit belated, but you go out for a walk and you have things to do. It's all good. Don't worry, we'll go for probably about an hour or thereabouts. I've got to make sure we're actually live on Rumble, though. I think we are. I know chat's working. Lots and lots of good news today. Let's see if we're actually live. Yes, okay, we are. Let me get back down there. By the way, of course, you can join me. Link in the description. I'm not going to bother pinning it on YouTube. To Pixel Planet. We are currently still pushing back the Nazis over there. I will be monitoring this live during the broadcast since I only have 8 news stories today instead of normally it's like 9 to 11. 9/11 coming up soon. Certain people celebrating that, I'm sure. Anyway, you can continue the red and yellow tiles on land and the blue and dark blue tiles on the ocean. The Nazis were trying to do a counteroffensive in this particular coordinate the other day. It didn't work out so well. They've made absolutely no progress at all. And please do build around good pieces of art. So if you see something like there's an alligator there someone made and Clank and someone's building a road, I guess, or something. I think they're going to make cities. We do need more infrastructure in Clankdom, to be clear. Please don't continue too much further up the coast, though. God, we got to pixel in all of modern-day Mali and shit like that. So we're taking over the continent of Africa. The continent will be filled with spoons, and we'll have mangoes and oil and all sorts of other good economic shit and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, also, if you go to the Grifties, apparently I've been added to the Grifties as well. So it's no longer just Sticks, Hex, and Hammer's cat. We fall into 3rd place there. I'm very disappointed in you all. You need to do more. You can vote every hour, by the way, for some unknown reason. Also, I'm on the list now. I think I'm in like 30th place or something. So it'd be interesting. The top Grifty and the second Grifty both go to something Clank related. I think we can make it work. Anyway, yeah, we're African Americans, us Clankers. We love, we're basically, I think we started off the first area of land that we took over basically is in what's now Cameroon, I think. We're very diverse. We're diverse people, us Clankers. But yes, Africa must be ours, along with all the gold and diamonds and shit. Anyway, just a sec here. Let's make sure that all of the tabs are working. Always fairly important. Mostly links in the description are archived, some of them not. Miku 4X Spot, do you think neocons would rather have Dems over MAGA? Yes. This is why Mitch McConnell keeps trying to throw the Senate races by saying, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to retake the Senate because we need better candidates. Yeah, what a way to support them, Mitch. Turtle Man. Nick Moore. Say, Sticks, longtime lurker, first-time donor. Think I came across you back in the MRE days. Thanks for streaming at midnight New Zealand time. Perfect nightcap. Sorry for New Zealand versus U.S. exchange rate. It sucks at the moment. Peace out. I don't know that it sucks. I don't know. Are your pounds or dollars or whatever you use worth more or less than USD? I'm not sure. And I think it's roughly equivalent. It's all good. Anyway, first news story. We're going to Reefer Madness 2.0. Of course, as you know, I oppose the drug war and have no problem with people smoking weed. This is from the tablet. How Weed Became the New OxyContin. A little bit of a scary title for all you sucker moms. Big Pharma and Big Tobacco are helping market high-potency psychosis-inducing THC products as your mother's medical marijuana. Yes, indeed. So basically, we need to re-illegalize weed because, the stuff that you're growing in your backyard bad because tobacco company or something. Didn't John Boehner get in on that? Doesn't he have a big-ass weed grow? I don't think he was in favor of legalization, though, when he was actually in Congress. Sketch Therapy. Hotep Nation is anti-Marx. I love them folks. Thanks. Yes, we've been nominated for 2 Grifties now. Me, myself, and I, and then, of course, our cats. For 30 years, Dr. Libby Stoit, a recently retired addiction psychiatrist in Pueblo, Colorado, psychiatrist, so shrink, nut job, in other words, treated patients with severe drug dependency. Typically, that meant alcohol, heroin, and methamphetamines. I noticed for some reason crack's not on that list. But about 5 years ago, she began to see something new. I started seeing people with the worst psychosis symptoms that I have ever seen, she told me. And the worst delusions I've ever seen. Yes, indeed. Taking too much THC apparently is worse for you than withdrawing from heroin. It's worse than the DTs. It's even worse than losing all of your teeth because you can't stop smoking meth. These cases were even more acute than what she'd seen from psychotic patients on meth. Some of the delusions were accompanied by severe violence. Meth heads never get violent, by the way. But these patients were coming up positive only for cannabis. Stoit wasn't alone. Healthcare professionals throughout Colorado and all over the country were seeing similar episodes. And it gets into how there's more THC in the weed today and people are dabbing, which is dumb. You shouldn't be. Can't you just, it's like all the good drugs always get ruined. This is one thing that the article gets at least half right. It's not enough to smoke weed. You have to extract the goddamn THC and freebase it. It's sort of like, who thought up crack? Hey, this coke stuff is pretty good, but I think I want something stronger. Heroin's a great example. Heroin apparently isn't enough for people. Oh no, we need to market fentanyl now. Heroin's not strong enough for us. At what point do you hit rock bottom? It's like, are they going to make alcohol plus at some point? It's like, hey, I take one shot of this and I stay drunk for 10 days straight. It's great. It's fucking great, man. And it's cheap. I do believe that tobacco firms and other corporations should not be able to market marijuana, just to be clear. I just think we should decriminalize it and let people grow their own. The stuff you get from Harold the Happy Hippie is good enough already anyway. What the fuck do you need to pay twice as much to get it from a dispensary? It's the government's fault. They're the ones that came up with that convoluted mumbo-jumbo plan in the first place. Fubar 2020, do you think the COVID vaccine will wind up killing... I'm not allowed to... I can't read the rest of that because we're on YouTube. No, I do not believe that to be the case. I am unvaccinated by choice. For my own various reasons. I've detailed that, new tech exclusives, of course, but I'm not anti-vaccine. The fact that it exists for some people, the old, people with comorbidities, perfectly fine. I don't see the problem with that. People, as long as they're informed, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, honk, honk, should have the right to get whatever medication that they want for any reason. They should be able to get painkillers across the counter. Why not? It's not like the pharma companies didn't dope everyone up for years and get them all addicted anyway. Hence the heroin crisis. Nick Moore's less 14 New Zealand dollars had been an average 20 for a while. Now it takes about 17. Could be wrong. Either way, New Zealand is down. And again, peace out. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate the diaper fund. Logan Davis, my bro, is a cop SWAT, and he grows weed these days because it's legal in Virginia. You may want to delete this comment just in case, because it is still federally illegal. So that could be a legal problem. And he sounds like a good cop, so we want to keep his job. He gives it to me to test out. I don't think he's partaking yet. He shouldn't, because I think they still do have drug testing. So yeah, you may want to, can I remove this comment? No, I can't. You may want to remove that. No cap for real. Long Dong John, any chance at getting Matt Christensen and or Blonde on for the sleazy midterm stream? I think they will probably be streaming themselves, but I can definitely ask them. That'd be cool. SP Elite, I saw a leftoid thread talking about how liberals are armed as well from the Texas drag thing, but I think they're overestimating that number and level of training. I think that it's great that leftoids are arming up. I don't care if Antifa members get guns. I think it's good. They have guns. Guns are a uniting factor in U.S. culture. Everyone should have one. Your grandma has a gun. You've got a gun. You got something to talk about, right? Jimmy's Heart, Purple Rain. Dabbing is good. I don't think you understand it. My house doesn't stink. It isn't bad for lungs. It doesn't fog up the house. Dabbing is better. Why not just take like regular weed and vape it? Logan Davis. They still don't know if cops can smoke legally in Virginia. Yeah. So probably, again, best to hush. Silky Johnson. Hey, Sticks, you mentioned understanding linguistics in one of your videos today. Are there aspects other than anthropology to study? Can cats clank? Cats don't have thumbs, so unfortunately they're not evolved enough to clank, and they can't drink coffee because it will explode their hearts. I guess you have to get them decaf, I suppose. I don't think they'd be into that. Although I did have a cat once that was into licking dill pickles, and another one liked peas and carrots, actually. They're weird a little bit. The cats here, they're extremely picky eaters. There's literally one form of dry food they will eat, and that's like 90% of their diet. And then there's one brand of mushy food that they like, but neither of them really like the turkey. So Farah will eat chicken or lamb. Yana will eat beef or lamb. Neither of them really like the turkey very much. Lamb mushy food, and salmon, I can't remember, Purina One salmon, the only thing that they'll eat. Anthony Guzman. Hey, Sticks, I've been watching you since early 2020. Love your work. I heard you mention that pit bulls should no longer be bred due to aggression. Can you shed some light on that? They were literally bred for centuries specifically to be guard dogs. This is the case with other breeds as well. They are typically going to be more likely to be violent than other breeds of dog. We see this in the statistics. Now, part of that is if you're going on police report statistics, which one are you more likely to report? A Chihuahua nibbled at your leg, or a pit bull decided to grab your hand and yank it half off? There is some skewing within the numbers. Larger breeds inevitably get panned more than smaller breeds, regardless of the aggression. But when there is aggression, and when it's bred into them, Doberman Pinschers, Rottweilers, pit bulls, etc., it can be a problem, because a pit bull, if it grabs a 12-year-old, is probably going to kill them. If the Chihuahua is aggressive, it's probably not going to cause much of a problem. They can just climb onto a tree or even a fucking tree stump to get away from them. It's a little bit different. Winston Fujimori, thoughts on Minecraft? I think that it's boring. I would play Minecraft again, but Microsoft has completely wrecked it. I mean, I've got an account and I can't even get into it. You've got to migrate everything to your Microsoft account. I can't even figure it out, to tell the truth. I'm going to spend a bunch of money to get another version of Minecraft I already fucking paid for twice. E100 Omega 123, Iran is evil because they funded, trained, and supplied Iraqi insurgents. Is the U.S. morally comparable to them for doing the same thing for the Ukraine military, or is it applied to oranges? Or apples to oranges, sorry. It is apples to oranges in the sense that Ukraine was legit invaded by Russia under various false pretenses. I support Ukrainian sovereignty. I do not believe that we need to continue sending them billions of dollars and a shit ton of weapons, because it's not helping the scenario. Greven Share, Scotland police replaced their diesel cars with EV cars, but forgot to build charging stations. Police burned out their standard outlets in charging attempts. This lack of brain power is staggering. I did not know that. Emperor Soft Turtle, Oz attacking Fetterman on his stroke and clear brain damage is a type of vicious I didn't expect. Fair game. And Fetterman has no answer. Well, we will be talking about that, the polling involved as well. Fetterman is not with it, and I figure if he can't debate and he's going to use that as an excuse, why would we expect that he can represent the people of Pennsylvania? Dur0694 saw a blood-red waxing crescent moon last night. It was beautiful. I can understand the occult stuff can be associated with Luna. I can see myself being a lunatic in a past life. Maybe you'll be a lunatic in your current life. Ooh. It is September, which basically means it's Halloween. Zim the Despot, with how Canada's government operates now, would it be too much to call them the Fourth Reich? Well, first they'd have to stabilize their economy. So, yeah, I think we're a little ways off from that. Next news story. Joe Biden's semi-fascism comments are shameful. And this is from Spiked, by the way. Smearing Trump as fascists is a cynical and dangerous game. I agree. I won't bother reading through this because this one's more short. MAGA's not fascism. I made a video the other day on the topic. What's more meaningful here is the fact that that term is being trotted out over and over again. So anyone you disagree with is a fascist. Populists are fascist. Libertarians, for some reason, get called fascist now at times too. When you do this and you overstretch the term, eventually it becomes nothing more than self-satirization. It becomes more humorous than anything else. We've seen this with the term Nazi. We've seen it with the term sexist. It provokes a backlash. As someone who does not want fascism in the United States, I find it extremely unhelpful when people who clearly have nothing to do with fascism are getting labeled fascist. It's sort of like labeling a garden variety liberal as a communist. There may be a few authoritarian tendencies that overlap, but they're not actually endorsing communism. It becomes unhelpful if everyone who is to the left of you economically is automatically a communist. The term loses all meaning. It becomes self-satirical. And then you have the risk that people who are actually communistic sort of slip through the net, so to speak, because they get a pass, because calling someone communist has become useless. Well, you're getting to the point where that's going to be the case for fascism as well. And I think that it's dangerous more than anything else. But no, garden variety populism a la first term Ronald Reagan is not actually a term of fascism. In fact, if you look at Donald Trump specifically as the general head of MAGA, and you look at his particular proposals, number one, and actions number 2. They're probably the furthest from fascism that we've seen since the 1950s or 60s in the United States. They are the least government-centric. The tax plan, the concept of sovereignty, I guess that's civic nationalism. Other than that, you don't really have a lot to complain about. Didn't start any new wars. Certainly wasn't working with corporations to suppress people because they wouldn't work with him. If anything, I would think fascism is embodied mostly in Amy Klobuchar more than anyone else. Amy Klobuchar, every other speech she makes, what is it? Hey, tech firms need to do more. As a senator, as a person who is within Congress, paid to represent people in the United States, in my constituency, I think that big tech should be pressured more to ban people that I don't like. That is fascistic. Not necessarily fascism, but it's fascistic in its ideology. The Grizzly. Do you think that Ukraine falls or that they manage to push back the Russians? What happens in the extremely unlikely event that Russia takes Kiev? I think it'll be a stalemate for an extended period of time. Both sides are depleting. The Russians just had to drum up more than 100,000 new troops. They've got Iranian drones now, which is not exactly a sign of strength. Kiev keeps taking money and weapons from other countries, Western Europe, the US, etc. Again, having to pump their forces. All it is hundreds of thousands of people dying over literally nothing. In the end, it'll probably be a suing for peace by one side or the other. Sparky, F Ukraine, NATO started the war. False, Russia invaded. NATO did not start this one, actually. HM, you should sell a life-size cutout of yourself. It would be funny for someone to create a fan page and take it to different locations and have people guess where in the world it is. Somebody can take my likeness and make a cardboard cutout if they want to do something like that. You have my permission. I don't know that you even need my permission for that, actually, unless you're claiming to represent me in some legal or fiscal capacity. Hey, all benefits from this photo shoot go to Stick Sex and Hammer. Actually, I'm pocketing them. You can't do that. But if you want to make a cardboard cutout, yeah, that's fine. Now we've got some polls to look at. Georgia Senate, Walker versus Warnock. Now, Warnock has been handily ahead in all of the polls up until, well, we'll get into it up until now. We've got a Trafalgar poll that shows Walker actually up by a point, and an Emerson poll showing him up by 2 points. These are the only polls on here in which Herschel Walker has actually been ahead. In fact, if I look back, the last time Walker was ahead in polling was back in April. So he had quite a bit of a slump there. Now, all of a sudden, they're about even. You could end up with an interesting scenario in which Warnock actually manages to lose. By the way, if Herschel Walker does manage to win, it's game over for the Democrats as far as the midterms. If this is to be considered a bellwether, and when it was 50-50, it was certainly considered one many moons ago until Warnock surged ahead. I don't see how the Democrats even hold the Senate. They would be slated probably to lose it by a couple of seats, which was the original estimation. Now, a lot of people are saying things are going in the other direction. There's a blue resurgence. The red wave is waning, etc. I analyzed this morning why that's not the case. They're talking about Palin. We'll talk about that separately. Herschel Walker is not a very strong candidate. He has baggage. He has personal scandals that he only partially addressed. And he's not the most well-spoken individual. Warnock, to his credit, hate to give credit to a Democrat, I suppose, is the better spoken of the two. If Walker still manages to edge him out by a point or two and take the Senate seat away from the Democrats, this is a Dem incumbent seat, by the way. I don't see how they have a path to victory in the midterms, even in the Senate. Now, I'm not counting on that. These are only 2 polls, but they have a good methodology. Emerson and Trafalgar, generally speaking, are fairly reliable. It could show velocity in Herschel Walker's direction, but I want at least 2 more polls to come out to see what's the new aggregate, because Warnock is still ahead in the aggregate, even if the other polls are a month outdated. I need more data. So we're looking at a situation where you could see a last-minute Herschel Walker surge. He could actually pull it off. Next, we have Georgia Governor, Kemp versus Abrams. This is the one where I said that Kemp probably retains that incumbency. We've got new polls there, again, of Trafalgar and Emerson, +7 and +4. In my opinion, Brian Kemp has sealed the deal for the Georgia gubernatorial slot, barring a health crisis, a major personal scandal, or an act of God. That is that Stacey Abrams, I do not believe, will make the cut. In fact, she'll lose by considerably more than she did in the prior election. She will then bitch about it. She'll claim it's the result of gerrymandering or something like that. She'll claim it's voter suppression. She did last time, and probably very belatedly actually bow her head solemnly and take the L. You'll remember, I think it was a couple of months before she admitted defeat in the last election when she got curb stomped. And this shows that Georgia is not necessarily bluing as a state. If Herschel Walker manages to defeat Warnock, the incumbent, and take that seat, even by half a point, and if Kemp maintains his job, Georgia leans very, very slightly red. Well, that would be a stark reversal of what we've seen over the last few election cycles. Winston Fujimori. Who would you want for Italian PM, Salvini or Meloni? I would want a Lega Brothers of Italy coalition government, I think. I don't know a huge amount about Italian politics other than it's very, very convoluted. The Happy Plague Doctor, pump your forces. Sparky, remember, Sticks, you are in an EU propaganda bubble. No, I can refer to Russia Today and all of these other sources as well. And the fact is that Russia fired the first shots invading Ukraine. That is the truth. The fact that I oppose Western imperialism does not mean that I support Russia in this particular endeavor. I don't support arming the Ukrainians with weapons that aren't available to the U.S. public, though. And I certainly don't appreciate the fact that billions are being sent to Ukraine while our own economy is hemorrhaging. I oppose these things. I think the Ukrainians have shown that they're capable, they've got enough battle-ready troops at this point anyway, to fend off against the Russians on their own. They don't need your money, so to speak. Rabbit. With all due respect, NATO and former Ukrainian leadership is at fault. This all started nearly 20 years ago, and the Russians didn't just invade. Yeah, Eastern European countries have been entering NATO, and Russia never did anything, so why would this be a provocation? Russia wasn't at war with anyone. There was no threat from NATO. The fact that it expanded into a larger military alliance apparently wasn't an impetus to invade them before. Now the Russians are using that as an excuse. But I also hear it's because they want to denazify Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Russian-speaking peoples, which is most of Ukraine, by the way. And it's bullshit. War is bullshit, and it was started by the Russians. That doesn't mean that I want the West to get further involved and send a bunch of money to Kiev, a notoriously corrupt place where Zelensky was repeatedly panned for his own personal corruption up until the invasion. SP Elite, top of RU, Red Blotch, clank on the commies on Pixel Planet. Sparky, although born in New York, Georgia is Chris Ray's home state. Mojo Hansen, truth is slowly but surely coming out about certain medical procedures I've known all along and am pure. Yeah, same. Ozzy's Robots, Morning Sticks, sent you a DM on Twitter. Just want to let you know it's actually me. If you're interested, email me direct. I'll tell you my crazy story and legacy media interview that had 3 million views. That does sound interesting. Immortal Legend. Off-topic question. Do you think the debt spending of the government would be considered enslavement since they're debating the people to the Federal Reserve? And would that be on its face unconstitutional? It should be, but it's not at the moment. Michael Cricklow, Virginia Beach area is now clank territory on Pixel Planet. Yeah, we've been taking over a giant chunks of the United States, New York State, part of Washington State. Eric Wise, Coffee Money, thank you for the live streams. You became our #1 source of news. Me and my wife had to move to Mexico to escape the Biden madness. No regrets. Well, there's got to be some madness down there, too. By the way, how many people are watching on Rumble? I can't even see right now. Oh, almost 1,000. I know that some people donated on Rumble, but they disappeared. I apologize for that, but I can't actually go up any further, and I don't know where they are. Whoops. Shit. Sparky, no one in Georgia likes Warnock. Well, it's about a 50-50 race, so that doesn't say great things about Herschel Walker either now, does it? The Landlord Harassment Channel, Sticks, I love you, but Trump and Biden are the same. Nope, Trump is definitely far better than Joe Biden. The proof is in the pudding. Joe, if loving my country and wanting sanity, clarity, and reason back means I'm a fascist, then I'll wear my fascism like a badge of honor. Fuck Joe Biden. Clank on. Do not accept the title. It's linguistic warfare. Sketch Therapy. War is a racket. General Smedley Butler. Yeah, there are some wars that are justified, but I don't see any right now. Next, we have Eurozone inflation jumps to new record, 9.1%. By the way, if you don't think this will affect the U.S. economy and other economies, because Europe is a major importer of certain high-level goods from the U.S. and elsewhere, then you should probably stay away from economic analysis. The Eurozone inflation rate hit a new record in August, official data showed on Wednesday, increasing pressure on the European Central Bank to hike rates to tame Ukraine-fueled war-fueled prices. I'd like to point out that the energy price in Europe is not related to the war in Ukraine. It's related to the European response to the war in Ukraine. It's sort of like lockdownerism causing economic problems in the US and elsewhere. A virus didn't cause the business to close. The reaction to the virus did. That's just the way that it is. They need to own up to their own culpability. Driven by soaring energy prices caused by Russia's invasion in Ukraine, the yearly inflation rate in the 19-country single currency area reached 9.1%, its highest since records began, according to Eurostat. Consumer prices had accelerated to 8.9% in July, so it's still rising. This is probably a bellwether of what's going to happen in the U.S. too, by the way. You'll have, higher energy prices. I know the gas prices have gone on a lull for multiple weeks under Biden's schmoozy strategy of freeing up the strategic oil reserves and having a gas tax holiday. You can add 20, 30 cents to the total cost when that ends, as all good things must end. Thankfully for Biden, it'll happen after the midterms. That's the whole point. E100 Omega 123, Mussolini was a fascist. He was also bald. I am bald. Does that mean I'm a fascist? According to leftist logic, yes. The Grizzly, what's your favorite fall activity? I like bonfires and carving pumpkins for Halloween. Spooky movies and everything spooky. Leaves and pumpkins and shit. Automatic selector. Some people are saying the Dems have a plan to run Michelle Obama in 2024. How likely do you think that is? Very unlikely. She has already effectively ruled out a political career. And I actually believe she's being genuine when she says that. She seems like she's not interested in that particular path. And part of it might be the thanklessness of the office that she was formerly adjacent to. Zinc Orby, did you move the microphone? A bit muddy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should probably move that back. Sorry about that. Hopefully it's better. Now we've got Tim Pool derangement syndrome to talk about. This is from the Daily Beast. All is not what it seems, especially when it comes to Tim Pool. And they have a spooky picture of him there, too. Host Will Sommer, yes, the defamation lover himself, and Andrew Carell discuss his new song, which they think he's using to lure people into his right-wing world. Yes, Will Sommer, who probably can't sing a tune at all, is very, very worried that Tim Pool is making music in order to gain more subscribers. That's basically what it boils down to when you use non-weasel words here. He's trying to lure people into being right-wingers like him. Well, Tim Pool's not a right-winger. It's very interesting when people say that. He's doing what I do sometimes, which is try to warn liberals about how stupid they're being in hopes that the liberals will reform, and therefore there will be an alternative to, just the GOP. It's a vain hope, I think, at this point, until, maybe a curb stomping in 24. I was hoping it would happen in 2018 and that the Democrats would realize how bad off they were and they would try a little bit. It didn't work. They keep burying their head in sand. But no, Tim Pool, from the actual far right, he gets called a fence sitter at best and at worst a cuck. And then the far left does this. The fact is that if you have an independent mind and you have independent opinions, and it's not just sort of a cookie cutter stereotype. So, hey, this is a stereotypical Republican platform. It's a stereotypical Dem platform, stereotypical libertarian platform. You get all sides harassing you constantly. I've had this happen. I lean far right on things like taxes and guns. I lean to the left on certain environmental issues, not the climate hoaxerism. Abortion, I have no problem with. I'm pro-gay rights and so forth. And so because my views don't line up with the majority of people who are left or right, because they have cookie cutter retard views, I get shit from these people. You'll get called a fence sitter. Liberals will call you far right based on your belief on guns or, miscarriage of justice involved with Trump. People on the right will ridicule you for not being religious, for not having a problem with first trimester abortions, for not thinking that Satan's going to rule the world because gay people are having sex or something. And if your views are more convoluted, if they're not simplistic, If there's some meat on the bones, then all of the lemmings will come screeching. And I've seen this for years, and Tim Pool is getting it from the Daily Beast now. He's probably chuckling at the moment, though, because they're just helping popularize his musical career. Sparky, Ray belonged to a club which controls Georgia politics. Uncle Sam, dabs are to weed as liquor is to alcohol. Beer equals regular weed. Vodka equals dabs. It is just further processed. Ironically, most THC extraction is done with alcohol. Yeah, I wonder if you can use distilled water like you can with some drugs. I don't know if THC is necessarily water soluble, actually. Not sure. Cousin Vinny, fail to see how the midterms will do anything. The procedure is already in place and many are going to die. Love your kids and pray for the next year. That's really, that's an optimistic take. Al-Qaeda, will you take Tim's beanie to prevent Civil War 3? Yeah, well, when I appear on his show at some point in the future, I'll wear a beanie and he can wear a leather jacket. And we'll trade places. Mojo Hansen, Project Veritas are one of the only few investigative journalistic outlets left. Logan Davis, the big question, where's all this unrest headed? Off a fucking cliff, probably. E100 Omega 123, if you think Tim Pool is scary, you're beyond help. Yeah, I know, exactly. He's a mainline commentator. Just look at his audience size. He didn't get that by going out on a limb and saying crazy shit. I think that the Civil War shtick is wrong. I think he's hyperbolic when he talks about this, but generally speaking, his views are not that out there. It's a bit of populism, liberalism. He's got some views that would be described generally as left-wing. But the Daily Beast, you got to understand why they would attack him. He's an independent commentator. He's got his own group. He's one of their competitors. The Daily Beast is being competed with by people like Tim Pool, by people like myself, by all the people that use new tech. We're their competitors. Of course they're going to do hit pieces. Why the hell do you think that my video was inexplicably there on the Reuters article about Odyssey and BitChute, despite them not even naming me in the article? Well, they had to do a little bit of a side swipe now. Sparky, Styx and Tim Pool should have a battle of the bands. I'd rather just do backup vocals for him or something. I don't have a band. Adam THM, do you agree many people revert to step one thinking? I don't know what you mean by step one thinking. Manuel Vitrago, nice, actually made it. Dave Minke, money for supplies. Set my alarm for 6 and you start at 5:30 a.m. California time. I'll catch a live stream at the start someday. Repman97, thanks, Styx. You got me addicted to filling in red and yellow squares on the Western Front these past couple of days. Appreciate all the work you do. Yes, indeed, there are links in the description, and you can help tile things in to push back the Nazis' giant swastika, since they were trying to counteroffensive, but it didn't work too well. Fakenderage, a.k.a. Santa. Hey, Styx, what are you doing that show with old Ghostler? I don't know. I haven't gotten back onto Element recently. The Landlord Harassment Channel. You get my message? And do you miss touring with Soundgarden? I get the reference. No, yes, I got your message, but I don't know if that's a fly or a yellow jacket, actually. Probably shouldn't hit it unless I know. Yes, I did get your message. I will look through your videos that you sent me. Mark Guidetti. Water is used to make bubble hash. CO2 for alcohol extraction makes dabs. Yeah, I never did that. I just smoked weed back when I did those things. Next story. When Fetterman declined to debate, Oz made his stroke an issue. The New York Times is going after Mehmet Oz about this. Dr. Mehmet Oz, the Republican nominee for Senate in Pennsylvania, has taunted his Democratic rival, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, about his recovery. No, that's not what happened. What happened is that Fetterman doesn't want to go to a debate, and Mehmet Oz made every possible arrangement saying, look, you know, you can have your notes, you can even have an earpiece or something. And they decided to cast that off as though it was mocking him. To be clear, we've seen this multiple times. We saw this with Carrie Lake and her opponent. She was like, look, I'll debate you. I want to debate you. Name a time, a place. You can choose the moderator. You can even write your own questions. This was taken as catty mocking, but it was an offer that was publicly made. Fetterman has the ability right now to take up Oz on everything. He can have notes in front of him. He can have an earpiece. He can fucking probably he'd let him have a fucking proxy up on stage. Mehmet Oz has gone in hard, and he's the one that's getting ridiculed for it by elements of the legacy media as though he did something wrong. If I were Fetterman, I would take up the offer. Here's why he won't. Fetterman is incapable of debating. not because he had a stroke. He does have language issues. He's still recovering from that, and that is perceivably a problem. If you intend to be before Congress, you're gonna have to make fucking speeches. That could be a little bit of an issue now, couldn't it, electing fucking Fetterman? But beyond that, he also has goddamn no grasp of reality. Like, he doesn't have a grasp of the First Amendment. He was saying, it wasn't some months ago, I think it was, saying like the First Amendment doesn't cover, what was it? I can't even remember what exactly it was. It was something completely out there. Disinformation, I think, was the subject. So in other words, the First Amendment doesn't apply to you saying something that the news or the government disagrees with. He's completely anti-gun. He has no clue about them. He's just a waste of time. Fetterman is a terrible candidate. He doesn't need to have a stroke in order for that to be the case. If you're not capable of holding a debate with another opponent, how are you going to debate on a congressional floor with people who are, in many cases, much more rhetorically talented than Mehmet Oz? How are you going to represent the people of your state if they do vote for you? Nobody's even asking that fucking question. I would say that it's definitely a campaign issue. It's definitely a relevant issue. This person has been effectively medically partially incapacitated, yet wants to go on to a congressional career representing people for an extended period of time, but won't even agree to a single debate. I think that that's a problem. Adam THM, step one thinking is when someone goes with the first thought they have, devoid of deep thoughts about what they're saying is beyond skin deep. I would agree. Yes, most people do that. Sebastian Monroe, I have nothing against Tim, but he has to fillet Ron DeSantis when comparing to Trump and doesn't believe honking happened, simply outvoted. I think that he does that more for the purpose of not getting banned, actually. The Grizzly, I have problems with Tim Pool going on his show last night and being hyperbolic about the Republicans losing the culture war, but I would never call him extremist. Keep crying, Watpo, that's all you blue hairs are good at. Yeah, I mean, he can wax hyperbolic, but most creators do. Mojo Hansen, the day Tim takes off his beanie, I will be ready with my sunglasses. Nashville Cat 66, I'm your guitar player. Sparky, neither does Tim. Get bands together. Yeah, we'll form a duo. We'll get a trio. We'll find somebody else and we'll have like a singing trio and we'll be like a barbershop quartet at some point. Cousin Vinny, am I wrong? Conspiracy theories are constantly being proven right. True. Listen to anything Jones or Beck has said in the last few years and do the math. Troublesome Boner. Tim Pool has the bad mustache man regenerating under his beanie. I saw him in the forest sucking off a unicorn. Incognito. He said criticism of election, not free speech. No, he was. I believe that the specific term was disinfo in that context, but the fact is that is indeed covered by the First Amendment. Anthony Guzman, when I was on American Idol last year, I was surprised to meet other contestants that weren't radical leftists. It was refreshing in such a lefty industry. Interesting. And then the last story here we have from Newsweek posting this, archived, of course. Sarah Palin defeated as doubts grow over GOP plans to capture the House. Republican Sarah Palin has been defeated by Democrat Mary Peltola in the special election for Alaska's at-large House seat, casting doubt on Republican expectations of retaking the House in the November midterms. This is quite clearly wrong. Firstly, this is a special election. It's not the final election in the general. So Peltola will hold that seat for a couple of months, and then they will face off in the general. That's number one, and turnout in the general will probably be higher, just to be clear. Secondly, this is partially, at least, the result of ranked choice voting. Alaska instituted a system that is not the same as the system it's used in past elections, and ergo, people are not quite used to it. So they're used to filling in one mark for a candidate. They're not used to ranking those individuals on the sheet, filling in for example, they want Sarah Palin to be elected. So they fill in Sarah Palin as number one. And then they want, just a moment, everyone. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. There was a diaper emergency, so had to get that done. Where was I actually? I know I was on Sarah Palin. Yes, Republican Sarah Palin has been defeated by Democrat Mary Peltola in the special election for Alaska's at-large House seat, casting doubt on Republican expectations of retaking the House in the November midterms. Again, firstly, this is a special election. It's not the general. This is not the final result of the election that happens, of course, in November. This is only to temporarily fill the seat prior to that actual election. Secondly, ranked choice voting is confusing to people who are not used to it because you're used to generally filling in one bubble on the form. So do you want candidate A, B, C, D, etc., write in whatever it happens to be. With ranked choice, you're filling in multiples. And so it's something where I have a feeling that a lot of people simply filled in for the candidate that they really wanted, and they didn't fill in the second or third part of the form. As a result, there weren't quite enough votes to get Sarah Palin over the edge. But it doesn't matter because Peltola is only holding that seat through September and October into the midterm season, and then, of course, carries over until January in the lame duck period. So why is this being used as a bellwether for a plurality of House races that have nothing to do with ranked choice? There's been no switch towards it in most states. So that's number one, in which Sarah Palin only came in a couple of points behind her opponent anyway. What this points to is that Peltola and the Democrats were simply better at informing people about how ranked choice had to work. So they had better outreach. I would advise Sarah Palin and the others that are involved to do more outreach, to tell people, hey, this is the way to fill in your ballot. It doesn't look quite the same as it used to. It's not your grandmother's Alaskan House ballot, so keep this in mind. Do a little seminar or something on the go. President-elect Pressure 609. Did you see the trailer for My Son Hunter? Do you think they're trying to get ahead of the truth and downplay or gain empathy from the masses? I don't know. Jebediah Kerman. Is ranked choice not good for LP and MAGA? Ranked choice in and of itself is not the problem. The problem is that people apparently got confused about how it worked. I have a feeling that Begis's people, a lot of them didn't fill in Palin for the second round, and vice versa, presumably. Hell, some of Peltola's voters probably didn't. Mojo Hansen, so many Tim Pool comments. Here's another. Battle Elf, will you give Grifter acceptance speech if your cat wins? Yes, if the cat wins a Grifty award, or if I happen to win one. By the way, go to grifties.com and you can vote for me and for the Stix and Hammer cat. Yeah, I'll give a speech. That'd be hilarious. The Grifties have been overrun by people who are encouraging their fans to vote for them as the head grifter. To be clear about the direction that Hotep's thing has gone in, it's a little bit different. Before, it's like, I can't remember who won last night. Little Nas X won one Grifty. And a bunch of leftoids and vapid entertainers, basically. And it's an insult. You're calling them a grifter. Now me and the Quartering, Nick Rekieta, etc., we're all trying to vie for that spot and get a Grifty award. And it's like the ultimate grift because the award is not meant to be a positive thing. It's meant to be a mocking thing, but you still got all of these people giving them a huge amount of attention just to try to win an award. And I hope you do actually get like a little, just a certificate or something, or an embossed like postcard or something that says Grifty Award and then has your name on it. That would be great. I'll hang it on the wall behind me. It's another reason for people to vote for me for a Grifty Award. The Patriot Chiro, tune to the 66.6 Tarl Clank and Spank morning show. SP Elite Sticks, have you ever been woken up feeling Chris Breezy? Everyone feeling Chris Breezy. I have no clue what that refers to. It's probably a joke, but it's going over my head. A Pet, Clankton has reviewed and approved your diaper emergency insurance claim. Keep rocking, Daddy. That was quite something. I've got it down to a science, though. You know, when you've got two people doing it, it definitely helps. But I already changed thousands of diapers when I was younger because I babysat for my niece. So yeah, don't think too much about the Sarah Palin loss here. It's by a very small margin involving a new voting system. It's not really a bellwether. The fact that you go down this article. What was it? Cook changed its prediction that Republicans would gain as many as 35 House seats, which I think is core. It might be an underestimation. In the midterms last week to a predicted GOP gain of 10 to 20 seats. Wasserman said the possibility that Democrats could retain control of the chamber was not out of the question. It's out of the question. Just look at RCP. Polling analysis website 538, who are consistently wrong, predicted that Republicans were favored to win the House with a 76% chance as of Wednesday night. However, Democratic chances have been slightly improving in recent weeks. The Democrats will not hold the House of Representatives. It's too razor close with too many seats that are effectively already called. You know what the result's going to be in about 80% of the House races. Well, the GOP is very, very close to having a majority just from those races. The Democrats are defending 2-1, or actually 3-1, I think, in the toss-up races. In what planet would you have to be living in for them to have the chance to retain the House of Representatives, let alone to grow their majority? The Senate's always been 50-50, but then when I look at the new polling for Herschel Walker versus Warnock, and certainly what Fetterman is up to, the Dems could end up losing the Senate as well. It doesn't matter quite so much. The Republicans don't want to lose the Senate. In the end, it doesn't really matter quite so much as the House, I think, for budgeting purposes, certainly. But there's effectively no chance for the Democrats in the House. I just don't think that it's possible. I think the over and under is still around 25, 30 seats. I think the original Cook report's closer to reality than their new revised report. 10 seats. Have you actually looked at the races that are up? Have you considered the fact that this particular election is a special with a new voting system and that applies to effectively like one race in the entire country? Yes, ranked choice and other methods are being used elsewhere, but it's not common, number one. Number two, again, it's not the general election. Turnout's going to be lower. The Republicans didn't turn out as much, probably realizing it doesn't really matter so much in that particular election because it's a special. Sticks, Hexenhammer, more important question. Will you ever get a better microphone? Yes, when I have a more beefy setup. I really want to get a modern Yeti or something like that and soundproofing and shit. Yeah, okay. Just a sec here. By the way, please no more super chats. I'll keep it a little bit shorter today because I did have to start late. Fire down below. Is it only a matter of time before Apple boots Truth Social from their devices now that Google banned it? Yeah, they will ban them probably from the Apple App Store. I don't believe that takes it off the device, though. I think that just makes it unavailable in the official App Store. There are other app stores out there. Sparky, ranked choice voting is the only practical way to truly have multiple political parties in the U.S. Voter education on it is the way to go. Yeah, I mean, the basic concept is fine, but it's a new system. It just got imposed. Naturally, it can lead to some confusion. President-elect Pressure 609. Check out James True channel, Heathens. Vaso, thanks for being my morning workout listen. Stay healthy, clankers. Joker1 over on Rumble. Do you think a jungle primary is a better system? The top two candidates advance to the general regardless of party. It keeps many shenanigans from happening, but may cause more. I think that jungle primaries are a terrible idea. They inevitably will keep third parties out of the election. Millino, I'd agree with chat. Do not get a Yeti. Get Shure and to Pro with a proper EQ and compressor. I don't know how to set all this shit up. I just plug it into a USB port. I guess that's probably why it's, more primitive. I'm living in 2012. What can I say? I'm a man of the past. Looking, by the way, at Pixel Planet, plenty of progress there. Really driving back the Nazis. They should have just left our territory alone. We wouldn't have this problem. Then their swastika wouldn't be completely fucked up. You can barely even see a good proportion of the largest one anymore. Even the biggest one that they're trying to build out in the middle of the ocean is fucked up. I see their Totenkopf, or whatever the hell it's called, has a orange and yellow dripping from its eye. There's a big penis underneath it. Somebody's coloring in one of the skulls over there. But only partially with the tiles, I think. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. Anyway, it's amusing to me. Sticks, would you ever do a moderated debate with Destiny? Nope, I wouldn't. And that's because there was going to be a debate with him at one point, and a mutual of ours, who will not be named, tipped me off to the fact that it was going to be disingenuous, and it was effectively an attempt to get me banned. So try to draw me into saying things that would get me kicked off of YouTube, or at least not be able to stream and have a strike or something. That appears to have been the basic premise. To get me to say something that the legacy media could demand I get banned for, and then people go and flag everything that I ever made or something. I was tipped off to this by a person who moderated for him, so I trusted their judgment. And so I didn't decide to debate him. I still like how, even though I was relatively kind to him on the so-called 5-to-1 live stream thing there, Worski was there and some others when Destiny came on, and I was one of the people not dogpiling him. I like how that's still held up as me being like afraid of him or something. And then people also want me to debate Vaush, even though he made a video out of the blue about me, bitching about me. And in the first minute of the video said he didn't know very much about me before proceeding to pontificate on me. And then I'm supposed to debate him like that was even a debate challenge. Really interesting people that follow some of these creators. Tommy takes, RCV screwed us because it pitted a divided Republican base versus Democrats united behind one candidate. Voters leave the second choice blank out of spite. Yeah, and then Palin still almost won. So what do you think happens in the general election? David, you've said prayer doesn't have any power. How do you explain the tens of thousands of exorcisms done through sacred prayers explained in the Vatican exorcist Friar Gabriel Amorth's books, for example? I think exorcism, generally speaking, is fucking horseshit. And you sent it twice for some reason, so you might be able to get the second one back. Sparky, Herschel's a beloved figure in Georgia. Even Georgia globalist rhinos and Georgia establishment Dems have trouble not voting for him. Yeah, now he has a capability of winning, potentially. Anyway, I'm going to go off here because I've got other things that I really must do and eat at some point, I suppose. I will be probably fiddling around on Pixel Planet later. We'll see what happens. But yeah, how many at peak did we have? Something like, I don't know, 4,500 or something. Less than usual because I started late. I've got to keep with a better schedule. Yes, I realize that. Not everyone has a half an hour to wait around for the live stream, especially morning Eastern time. I will try to make sure that it's reasonably on point from here on out because it's more beneficial to everybody. Yeah, it's also good for the subscriber base too, I've noticed. The growth has definitely picked up since I've been doing a daily stream. I think it's no longer algorithmically demoted. It actually helps to promote your content or something. I don't know why. And President-elect Pressure 609, Destiny's wife train. Interesting. That's about all. Peace out.